Hello, I'm Heather. I'm a serial entrepreneur, content creator, author, and woman with many passions and interests. I created this podcast, Live, Learn, Leverage, for those who are ready to get out of the box. This is a safe space to live freely and authentically. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Live, Learn, Leverage. Today I have an amazing guest, Sheila, who I met several weeks ago, and we had the most engaging conversation, and realizing that our premise here is to serve, to guide for many of you who are in transition, going through different challenges, just having different experiences. I realize the value of having guests on to be able to share different paths and different journeys that they have been on. And I am so honored today to have Sheila Elaine grace us with her presence. And so I would like to just share a bit about her and then we'll take it away. So Sheila Elaine, also known as the Grateful Goddess, is an executive coach and speaker specializing in transformative topics such as the law of attraction, gratitude, women's empowerment, and the mind-body connection. In 12 years of speaking at Canyon Ranch Resort and Spa, she has inspired and empowered thousands to cultivate their lives with meaning, purpose, and joy. Sheila is on a mission to get more women in change maker leadership by trusting their own inner guidance and using self-appreciation to heal their programming of lack and insufficiency. She guides women from self-sacrifice to self-trust and alignment. So without further ado, welcome. Thank you so very much for joining us on Live, Learn, Leverage. Thank you for saying yes and being here.
Thank you, Heather. This was so lovely that we happened to connect and meet and just vibe. I mean, we definitely have a similar energy, and so I just loved the fact that we were able to connect and be here today.
100%. So the one question that I feel like I would lead with, because you speak a lot about, women moving forward from self-sacrifice to self-trust.
Yeah.
What would you say was that point in your life where you realized that you were living for everyone else instead of yourself, and why you decided to just move forward and embark upon this journey?
Yes, thank you. Well, for me, I think, which I believe for many, is that you're so in it that you don't necessarily see it. Right. So for so many years, I was so busy that there wasn't any time for reflection. And the idea, so I would say my whole life, I was doing everything for everyone and not really putting my own needs on the priority list. And it wasn't until I was divorced, my kids were teenagers, and I was at a ad agency. I worked in ad agencies for 20 years, and I actually loved it for 15. It was that the last 5 years were just soul sucking. And so it had lost its meaning and purpose for me. So it wasn't like I had a miserable life. It was like all of a sudden I thought, I cannot leave here because I'm a single parent and, this is a high paying job. And so the universe supported me by laying me off. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, and I immediately recognized it as a gift rather than a punishment. So, or any other kinds of ideas of what we might have thought that to be. So I know you talk a lot about getting out of being stuck, and I actually needed that kick out the door in order to help me get unstuck. And then once I was, then it was just exploring. Like there were other job offers at other agencies. I couldn't do it. Like my soul wouldn't allow me. And so it really was about recognizing, okay, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I need and feel called to? And the thing is the path is never straight, or at least I haven't seen it be that straight.
Agreed. 100%.
So all you do is you take the next intuitive step in whatever direction feels like it's right. If you get in your head that you've got to plan it all out in advance, you won't ever take that step. So it's taking the step and then learning so much from taking that step. Oh, this is these pieces or these aspects of this business I like, and these do not serve me. They're not where my genius shows up.
100%.
We don't want to do the work that does not shine our genius. So give that to somebody who that is their genius zone for that. And you stick to what you're to do. And so that I think was another huge lesson for me, is recognizing I was used to thinking I needed to do everything myself.
Okay.
Not getting assistance and help and guidance. And so it makes a world of difference when you can self-assess, know what things you're good at and what things you're not good at, and get assistance on those things that you're not a star in.
Sure, 100%. But I feel like I want to just backtrack a little bit because it is so important. I remembered when I had, so COVID was a horrible time for many people, but it did force me to make a decision, just like you're getting laid off forced you. And for those individuals who, because before I had gotten to that point where I didn't like what I was doing anymore. And this is in my own business, right? This is not even with me working for someone else.
Sure.
This is in my own business. I no longer liked it. I started to realize that a lot of the clients that I was attracting, they were just not the right people. So there was an issue there. And I fell over it, but I didn't have the nerve to tell my clients, look, I don't want you to be my client anymore. And so COVID came along and did me a favor and is like, okay, because they lost half their businesses overnight. It was just a question of maintenance, and then the contracts died off and they were never renewed, and I had to figure it out. But for those people, because just like you said, being a single mom, you need to figure everything out. The bills have to be paid. All the things have to be done. And a lot of people are terrified of moving, even though they're miserable, because they're like, I have to do it and I have to do it. Is there any, and again, for me, right, and I always preface the advice that I give by sharing that I don't have children, being completely honest.
Sure.
So the pressure for me was very different.
Yes.
When you realized that, okay, going into another job is not the answer.
Yes.
What was that? Was there any kind of grounding technique, any kind of something that you would set to yourself? It may even be a bank account or an investment account or something that gave you the courage, because so many people would just sit in fear for a really long time. And I always say clarity only comes, just like you, clarity only comes from taking action. You will never think your way through any of these situations ever. Like, you will only know after you take the first step. You'll never sit and know from A to Z. But what was that thing or was it just the pain of remembering how much you hated it? You just got let go and relieved of it. You didn't want to go in again. Like, I'm curious to know what.
I just don't think my body would allow me to move forward in that direction.
It was like a visceral, physical feeling
I
almost.
did interview for a few jobs, and my body was just like, yes, it was a very visceral, can't do it. And so, but one of the things that you said that I think is also important to recognize is I didn't feel courageous at the time. I didn't feel like, oh, this is like I didn't feel, I think that is, people may also think that it's for people who feel confident and courageous and have all these things together. It was just my body wouldn't do it anymore. And also, I think some people think they have to make the right next step. And reality was I went into different businesses. First, I started a mosaic art studio for the creative outlet, which I was beginning to start before I left the agency because I knew I needed something more creative in my life. It wasn't meant to pay the bills. So it wasn't paying the bills. So
Right.
once I was laid off, then I ended up doing what you know. So again, this is also important. It wasn't that I was refusing to do the work that I knew how to do.
Okay.
It wasn't the end goal, but it was the bridge. So I was doing marketing consulting, even though I know my heart isn't in marketing consulting anymore.
Right.
It did have a new energy with it in being the boss, in being the person who made, I made a lot of decisions actually in the agency I was at, but all the same, it was sort of like, oh, this is kind of fun. It just gave it a whole new energy.
Okay.
But it wasn't like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It was, this is what I'm going to do while I figure out what I'm going to do.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. It's
Right.
not like I didn't have all the answers. I didn't have the courageous spirit. I didn't have these things. It was just like, what's the next most inspired action that I could do? And can
It's
I
a
be in
stepping
that
stone.
energy of trusting
Yes.
I will find my way?
Yes. It absolutely is a stepping stone. And I often say that also. I think a lot of people have a very all or nothing. It's like, I'm going to do this thing and this thing has to work. And for any reason, if it doesn't work, then you become a failure. And I was like, that's not it at all. It's a stepping stone into the other thing. But just give yourself that permission to just take that step and see, because there's so many. I mean, I've been through so many iterations of my life. I am officially in my third career. And they've been and they are all unrelated. Absolutely no single one of them are connected. However, I always bring me with me. The
Yeah.
core of who I am flows through. And so, it may not be a linear, very obvious connection,
Mm-hmm.
but, knowledge is transferable. The core of who you are is transferable. And if you realize that you don't like it, you have permission to change. You
Yeah.
can shift. You don't have to do it for forever. And I think that's also the other thing, because like traditionally, you're supposed to you get this job and you're supposed to be in it for 10, 20, 30 years
Yeah.
and get the gold pen at the end. And then like that's success.
Yeah. I think what you said also was really important when you mentioned how people feel like they're a failure if something doesn't go the way they thought it should go. Most things do not go the way you think they're going to go. So I think I do have a skill in which I don't label myself a failure for as many failures as I've had. That's not a label I give myself. It's, what did I learn from this that's going to help move me forward to being more of who I truly am? And I think that's what we're wanting to do, is to be fully actualized. Like, this is who I am and fully expressed, because that takes the least amount of energy.
Yes.
You know how difficult it is to fake something, to force yourself to do something, to do all of those things. That is exhausting.
Yep. You're trying to be like the other person. I was like, yeah, that they're already taken, right?
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely is what it is. So as you're going along on your journey of evolution, I guess what happened in that shift that made you realize that you have a knowledge base and a skill set where you could support other people who are not seeing value in their knowledge and in the transition and
Yeah.
the transformation that they're going through?
I actually did not see it myself. The way I got into doing the work that I do, well, first of all, the Mosaic Art Studio was presenting and teaching and doing those types of things, and creating art and creating community, creating all those sorts of things, right? And that I loved. What wasn't working for me was working nights and weekends and the painstaking amount of time that it takes to do a commissioned piece. And it's some of the, like, I'm a very physical person, but that's kind of like small things. It's a lot on the body, right?
Sure.
So I took again, others would call me a failure. In fact, my sister told my other sister, look at how many times Sheila fails at everything she does. It's like, I don't take on that, right? It's like, look at what you succeeded at, because within every failure is a whole host of successes. And so I looked at all of the things, like the fact that I had, created these commission pieces, won different sales opportunities, was given a People's Choice Award for, art, which I'm not an artist. So that is funny, right? Like I ended up on a HGTV show. Like, these are not things I planned or knew or could see coming down the pike. But it is a matter of like just shifting things into what you're learning and how you're knowing who you are and what gift you're here to present, right? So that was sort of the speaking thing, recognizing, people really connect with me when I am teaching, speaking, training, whatever that is. And then I had a friend of mine ask me if I would coach her. Now, I had been a consultant, again, that bridge career to get to wherever it was I wanted to go. I was actually a consultant for Microsoft partners. And I'm not a techie. And they told me that's why I was so good at it, because I could speak the layman's language, right?
Yes.
So I did that for a period of time. It helped get me to a thing, but it also was like, yeah, I don't like that. That's not who I am, and even if I'm good at it, doesn't mean I'm supposed to do it. So it was a friend who asked me if I would coach her. And so when I started coaching her, it was like, oh, wow, I had no idea this is where my gift is. This is it. Not consulting and telling somebody what to do, but helping them find their way.
But you would never know it until you do. And I think for so many individuals, so back to the question of failure, like I've often said, if it wasn't for my failure, I would have absolutely nothing. I would have no program. I would have no business. I would have absolutely zero, because we learn so much more during those periods of trials and tribulations. And frankly, the worse that mess is, the better off you're going to become knowledge-wise and just strength and resilience.
Yeah.
But I remember it was not that long ago, just having a conversation with someone. And I'm like, you realize that you're framing, all of this is content. All of this is experience. All of these bad failures, all of those horrendous things, but you've lived through it. You have succeeded through all of it. This is your leverage. This is the knowledge. This is actually the special sauce that you have, because trust me, if you've been through it, there's somebody else that has gone through it as well. And the other side is that, frankly, the more messy and just horrendous it is, as painful as it is often to many people going through those challenges when they're in it at the time, the transformation that you could support other people through is limitless. But again, it's once you can figure out that reframe.
Yes.
That it is not like let's not focus on the falling down. We're focusing on the getting back up. And so if that is what you begin to focus your effort and energy on, it's like, it's not that this bad thing happened to me. This thing happened for me. It happened for me to be able to learn. It happened for me to be able to understand other people's challenges. And I would say I am extraordinarily grateful for those challenges in my life, because they have allowed me, now granted, I have not had every single experience, but for the range of individuals that I meet, because I have a wealth of information, because I have had a lot of messes, I'm like, you know what? I don't understand exactly, but I can relate.
Right.
And there is that connection and and at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? That human connection is like, I see you and I don't judge you.
Yes.
And like, you're perfect in your imperfection. It's okay that this has happened. That's not a bad thing, but let's figure out how we can reframe it.
Yes. Yes. The reframing is so important because it's not even, I don't even say it's a bad thing that happened. It's something
Exactly.
that happened for
Oh,
me
yeah.
to move me. Like I said, there were certain times where I wasn't going to make the move on my own. And so it really was sort of a, a universal energy that guided me out of something that I didn't think I wanted to leave. And then once I'm gone, then it's like, oh yeah, this is much better. And so then it's on to the next thing. And then it's like, oh, well, this feels okay, but there's something you can be more than okay.
Yes. And
So,
everything informs the next thing.
yes,
Exactly what you're saying. Like, you're doing stuff with Microsoft. It's like, okay, that's a skill set that you became more aware of that you didn't realize that you had. But
yes,
then you're paying attention to the other feeling.
yes,
And it's like, and everything is building. I mean, it's truly exactly how I ended up here. Also, I remembered when I used to do alcohol tastings. I was doing like wine and spirit tastings.
sure.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really love this. Later on, I realized what I loved was teaching.
Yes,
What I loved was sharing. So
yes,
it's not that I wanted to sit and be slinging booze all day and all night,
yes,
but it was just like, oh, even like when I did business development, when I was an environmental consultant, I was like, oh, that is also a skill set.
yes.
That is also something that can help me in this space that I'm in right now. And so, yes, it really is truly just, valuing all of those steps and all of
Mhm,
those and trusting that it'll all come together.
mhm.
And even if you don't trust that it's going to come together, it really genuinely does, but just to be relentlessly flexible.
Yeah. I know that some people don't have that optimistic view, but I
Sure.
do have a mantra that, the universe is always working in my favor. Like it just is. And so even if it looks like a setback, it was a setback because there's a better path for me. There's a better opportunity that I couldn't see unless this one was pulled out
Sure.
from underneath me.
Actually, you know what? That brings me to a solid question because, again, right, we are very similar.
Yes.
But for those individuals who are listening, who are like, okay, that worked for you guys, happy for you. That's not how my life is planned out. In your practice, when you have worked with individuals who are just not able to see past that current situation that they're in,
Mhm.
are there any particular tools, meditations,
Yes.
mantras, anything along those lines that you're able to share that could help our listeners
Yes.
who are feeling stuck but not necessarily as positive
Yes.
as we are?
I think that you even hinted at it in your thing. It's the fact that so often when we are in fear and action and upset, and then we tend to get really self-critical and all of those things, we are living in our heads. And that's a dangerous place to spend all of your time.
Yeah.
So, yes, our brain is brilliant, but if it gets off on a negative track, it's going to go full speed ahead in that negative track and you're going to spiral down. So, you cannot fight the mind. That way you need to drop into the body. And so it's a very somatic practice of getting out of your head, dropping into your body and
Right.
noticing, what do you feel in your body? Like, how is it feeling? And when the nervous system is dysregulated, there's all kinds of things. But if we're living up there, we're not even paying attention to how the body is feeling. I mentioned that it was my body wouldn't let me do
Yes.
that work
Yes.
anymore. So it's a matter of like pausing. I think slowing down is really hard when you're in fear.
Yes.
And it's so important that we slow down and we drop into our bodies and we start to notice all the sensations in our body. We can do a body scan where you just go through and you notice every sensation in your body and notice the constriction or the pain or the tension or the pressure, and then send it breath. Ask it what message it has for you. Like, just allow. It's about allowing the body to have its say.
Sure. I think we're taught to force outcomes, right? If something isn't working, just to put pressure and create pressure and not realizing that now there's this cycle that is beginning to form. And so your advice is essentially to stop that
Yes.
from cycling out of control, really just being to pause and to be mindful, to take that breath, to have the awareness. I just want to make sure that I am sharing for those people who may feel like this is so unfamiliar. This is not something that they used to, a way that they used to even communicating,
Yes.
that there are easy, achievable tools that are available.
Because we get limited in our view and our creative ability to problem solve
Right,
when we get into that high pressure stress.
right.
So when we can drop into the body, when we can create more space within the body, then it goes from that amygdala in the brain that is on fire and screaming, all systems alert, there's problems, there's problems, there's problems. It's like, no, once you've calmed that part of you, your executive brain function comes back online and you can see solutions so much easier than you can if you keep pushing through uh, the stress.
Sure. So, as we close out, before you share details about your practice and all of the different ways that you're able to serve, given that the name of this podcast is Live, Learn, Leverage, what would you say is a lesson? If you decide to choose more than one, you certainly can, that life has taught you that you realize that you can leverage in your day to day?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Either.
I think the lesson is in the pause. Like I said, I moved a
Sure.
million miles an hour for so many years of my life. And I was afraid of a pause. I was afraid that if I wasn't moving a million miles an hour, the sky would fall.
Yeah. I
So
get
it
there.
was in that pause, it's in that breath, it's in that embodiment of, oh, I am a full human, not just a brain. Like, and my worth is not dependent upon what I'm doing, but who I actually am.
Yes, especially living in a place like New York City where everybody is always so very, very busy.
Yeah.
And you feel as though by curating a life, which I have, that allows me to actually have the time to be able to do the things that are joyful, that allow me to acknowledge, that allow me to be just full of gratitude and live in that, is somehow not as successful as a person who is working an 80-hour week.
Yeah.
And that is very much a societal thing and something that I feel like that is one of the missions that I am genuinely on. What is that vision you have for your life? And to create something that fulfills that, not something that looks good
Yeah.
to the person who you're afraid is going to judge you.
Yeah.
And I want to choose that thing because I want to show up as my best self.
You are a very creative person, so you have visions for your life. And I will say that that is where some people get stuck. It's that I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. I don't have the big grand vision. And so that is also where a coach can really help you, because again, it's sort of like the thought that you have to have it all planned out before you take your first step, that you have to have the idea, the clarity of your vision. Well, there are steps that you can take before you get there. And I think that's where a coach can really help you.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so, Sheila, with that, can you please share with our viewers and listeners how they can find you, where they can find you? I would be sharing all of the links in the description. But yes, if you could just let them know a bit more about the practices, the different things that you offer, and where they can find you, that would be fantastic.
No, thank you. Well, my keynote right now is Make Space for More. It's about releasing the rules that were never meant to serve us.
Sure.
And remembering who you are. So I am available for, for speaking opportunities, and then also coaching. So you can send a message to hello@SheilaElaine.org. So it's SHEILA, and then Elaine, ELAINE.org, O-R-G. And I wanted to give your audience something special. So I did provide a link for you if they are interested for how to start to make space for more in their life. Because if your life is really, really full, it's like really hard to go, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make space for more? But it will definitely be a starting point. So you can share that with your list. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for your time. And guys, as always, thank you so very much for being here. As usual, I hope that this serves. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments. Have a fantastic day. And thank you so very much for being here at Live, Learn, Leverage. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.